welcome to the very first virtual Choose France store in India. My name is Saurabh Bhaumik. I'm the Campus France manager for Kolkata, and alongside me, I have Mr. Amitava Das, University Cooperation Officer at the Consulate General of France in Kolkata. We are your
Good
hosts
evening,
for
everyone.
today. We are your hosts for today's first webinar that will focus on the topic of finance and economics in France. To help us dive in depth into the topic, we have with us today Dr. Moez Benouri, Director of the MSc program and Professor of Finance at Montpellier Business School, Ms. Judith Rakotondrele, International Development Officer at Montpellier Business School, and Mrs.
Hi,
Mo
everyone.
and Mrs. Modlubars, representative of Wren School of Business in India, former chairwoman of the Education Committee of the Indo-French Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and the current ambassador of La France Tech in Bangalore.
Good evening, everyone.
Dr. Benuri, Ms. Rakotondrele, and Mrs. Lubars, thank you for being with us today. We will start with a panel discussion and two brief presentations on the finance courses available at Montpellier Business School and Rennes School of Business, who both, aside from being top business schools in France, are also present at the Choose France store as participants today. This will be an opportunity to connect with them later for a one-on-one counseling session, and you can book your slots right now on our platform if you haven't already. After the presentation, as the time permits, we'll take up a few questions from the audience on the topic and answer as many as we can. Please use the chat option at the bottom of your screen to send us questions that you would like to see answered. With that, let's jump right to it. Dr. Benori, the finance and economics session organized by Campus France is to orient future students interested in the domain about the career possibilities that exist. So we'll be talking about that today. What are the roles they will be expected to take on after they graduate? We'll also discuss the curriculum on offer at finance courses in leading institutions in France and the need to be aware of the current developments and upcoming regulations in Europe and the world at large. So I guess my first question to you would be, over the last decade, it's become very apparent to the general public that the influence that large banks or financial organizations play in our daily lives. It affects the economy to a very large extent, and not always positive either. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on the same.
Yeah, well, in the last decades, after the last crisis of 2008, of course, we are aware of the importance of financial institutions in our lives, and but there are different things that have occurred and which made regulators basically to to change the rules of the game. And so there's a lot of changes now, and this obliged institutions to create new positions that were not existent in these institutions. And so I don't want to talk about very technical things, but I mean now we talk more about new risks that appear in financial markets, and these new risks must be considered when you make a deal and when a financial institution is thinking about this kind of deals. So there's a lot of new things. Regulation is evolving, so I mean we have even regulations that are supposed to enter in 2021, both for European institutions and also for international institutions. So yeah, there's a lot of things to do now in finance.
So building on that, really, building on the fact that there are new regulations which are leading to new opportunities, my next question would be to both you and Mrs. Modlabars. For a recent graduate, what are the career options that are available? Because this is, as you mentioned, such a very wide domain. So a student armed with a finance degree and say some knowledge of the financial markets, where would you advise them to begin?
Mod, if I can, yeah, there are usually two options. The first one is to look for a new career in a large institution. the advantage with this kind of strategy is that, well, you will be in the well-established organizations. You will have a mission which is very clear. You will be usually coached by people who are in the company, but you will know only one thing in this institution, something, and you will typically be guided by the rules within the institution, the way this institution is doing things. Another strategy, which is usually what I advise to my students, is to look for small institutions, small boutiques. Now, there's a lot of very, very interesting small companies that are specialized in something. I don't know. Let's talk about an M&A boutique. Maybe there are 4 people who are working there. As a junior participant in this institution, you will do a lot of things. You will learn a lot of things. I had one of my students 3 years ago. He did his internship. He was an intern in one of these boutiques, and the internship was during the summer, and he was asked to deal and negotiate with the CEO of a large pharmaceutical company a deal. This is a great opportunity for a junior, for someone who is intern. So yeah, there are this trade-off that graduates must think about. Am I really interested by working on a large company? The advantage is it's large, so you will be well coached in this company, but usually you will work on only one line and only with a way of doing by this institution. And the other opportunity, which which at least graduates need to think about, which is to look for these small institutions that might offer a broader way of seeing the way things are done, and which allow also typically to go for a larger institution. Mud, do you have
Yeah,
something?
I'll just maybe add up to that. I mean, I think you made a very interesting picture here of and provided a very sensible point here. What I would tell is that I'll try to give like perspective on the different career paths you could go, because in finance you have people that are considering finance, but in fact they're thinking accounting and consulting, and very often it is linked. Consulting would be linked to accounting, taxes, auditing. So this is one path. I think in the given today's environment where geopolitics is moving a lot, I mean, obviously taxation will move as well. It's going to be an interesting part. The fact that we have more regulations, so auditing would be much more important as well. So I don't see that disappearing, but that's just one expert way, I would say, and for a specific kind of graduates. If you're really into finance, here there are different ways. If you're looking into making a lot of money quickly, that's the main aim you have going for finance, and let's face it, there are a lot of people that have this path. So usually the easiest way is the banking route. So definitely, and in there, consider as soon as you can investment banking. It's not easy to get, and it is something you need to plan much in advance. In France, one of the advantage, oh, I'm sorry, my sound is not coming. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, we are able to hear. I think it
Okay.
might be a
So I
local issue.
so so if I'm staying on the investment banking, so it is where you're going to put the most hours. It's going to be draining. It is difficult to reach, and you better be extremely strong in your GPA. You better network early. You better have made sure that you had interesting internships, both on the analytical part and on the banking side, so that you can reach this kind of roles early. And that would require, a lot of plan ahead. So one of the advantage of schools in France is that internships are part of the equation. So it is something that is there, and companies are playing their part here. So you'll be able to access that. And in there, you have different things. You have some that are the quickest pass and some that are a bit less quick, but all of them are interesting. You don't need to consider the front office. The middle office is a very interesting one. May take a bit of time to reach though. I think it's quite interesting for people that have a strong mix of analytics and finance, or economics, in fact, because you are here to provide, the research on equity for the investment banker, for them to work. So I think it's going to have more and more importance. And then you have also investment with hedge funds, etc. I think this is something you reach much later. And here, I mean, whether it's through the big, I think Dr. Moraes covered that. So there are different strategies you can have. Finally, and I think there's something people should still consider, especially if you're not the toppers in the class. Working through the corporate finance, you way there, because you can build very interesting careers. I used to work as the talent supply manager for P&G in Europe, in different countries in Europe. So I had quite a I was able to see what they're doing there for the corporate finance careers, and really you can build a very strong profile moving from one place to the other. Not saying that we were selecting not good students, but still we had diverse, probably more diverse profiles than what a junior in investment banking we could find. But that's a good path to reach those investment banking role later on, or the high-paying jobs. Or in fact, if you're looking into the future of finance, fintech would be, all those startups that are in fintech would be interesting to consider. I would advise you to be part of the clubs that are on cryptocurrency, or that are exploring all those new ways of financing in your school, because in Rennes School of Business we do have them. They're very, very active, and as a student you can play around and you can earn some extra skills that probably are going to be pretty much in need in the future. So yes, that's what I would advise. I mean, these are the options you have, and there are plenty, in fact, plentiful.
Thank you. I'm sure that was very, very insightful for our viewers. And actually, building on that, what we were talking about, the fact that there was so much regulation now coming in to prevent another sort of, the Great Recession that just happened. So we are wondering, is that going to affect job prospects, or what are you seeing as recruiters in the market? Is that affecting the job prospects, or is it actually a blessing in disguise? Is it opening up more specialized roles in the economy?
If I can quickly, so one positive thing we have, I mean, at least for Europe and France, I mean, let's call it this way: the Brexit is there,
Yes.
and for the finance world, it's it's just a shift of, from one place to the other, and it's benefiting France in particular, Paris particularly, yes. Because a lot of efforts have been made to make Paris very attractive for those banks. So Goldman Sachs, I know that JP Morgan is moving very soon to Paris, even though the offices are not yet ready. So you have quite a lot of job creation this way, and in fact, also for younger people this way. So it's not going to be immediate, but we are going to be starting seeing it very soon. One sure thing is that whatever they can automate, they would try to automate whatever they can. If they can replace, a role by something less expensive, they would, at least at first. So the more skilled you are, the better. It's the right time to come to France for sure. That's what I would say. I'm sure you have another perspective, Dr. Moraes.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what Maud said, but and there's also, to complete her arguments, as I told you, the existence of these new regulations created new departments in different financial institutions. So I don't know. in the past, we do not care about one particular risk, which is called the counterparty risk. When you are making a deal with someone else, you don't care about the particular risk of the someone else. You consider many risks, but not the particular risk of this one. The fact that it will disappear as an institution. And now we are creating new departments that are dealing with this, and the regulations oblige institutions to calculate the price of dealing with this particular. So this needs a lot of brains in order to calculate these new prices, because think about it. It's each deal, you need to calculate it for each deal. So each institution, each time they are making a deal, and they are making a lot of deals every day, they need to price it, and they need to report about it to some organism. So this is a great opportunities for people who are interested in finance, and this is creating new jobs, new specializations. 10 years ago, there's something now which is really demanded by financial institutions: VIX specialist. 10 years ago, we don't know what is a VIX specialist. Now, many banks, many institutions need people who know what is VIX, how can we use these very sophisticated models in order to apply them and price this kind of new risks.
And I want to add to that, because I think there are good news pouring in, and it's nice in current environment. I think one extra element is that I think you're gonna have more and more of a preparation of companies getting having their first IPO. I mean, things like that, and that will require specific people to work on it. The French Tech, for instance, was the only. So the French Tech is a community of startups in the tech, sector, supported by the French government. They are worldwide. They are not the only one in France, but they are very much supported. So this was the only startup community in the world that managed to raise funds during the crisis between April and June. That's something, and we're talking about huge fundraisers, IPOs. I mean, these kind of things are there, and it's gonna come more with France putting 100 billion euros of funds in the relaunch of the economy, and on top of that, the European Union that went into an historical agreement in July, which, as I understood this week, they have managed to erase the latest conditions that were kind of blocking the system. So they are going to put a double budget for European Union to invest in the economy, for a greener economy, for more having more done closer to home. So that means innovation will come. That means new companies. That needs those companies, and we need funds, and we need support for that.
If I can add something which is also really very, very important, related again to the last crisis in finance, is the fact that we figured out that we have two words in finance. We have people who are in financial markets, and we have people who are in the corporate finance side. And these two sides, there are people who are really very, very clever in each side, but their problem is that they do not speak the same language, and so they cannot understand each other. And one of the strategies that now many institutions are taking, and this is one of the strategies at Montpellier Business School at least, is try to prepare students or graduates who can understand both sides, who can be the link between financial markets and corporate finance. And so we offer them the possibility to know how financial markets work, and know also what is going on in the firm, and to be this kind of link between these two worlds, who are unfortunately until before the crisis. And this is what we observed in the education institutions around the world. Typically in finance, before, we had always a program in financial markets and another program in corporate finance. Now it's less frequent. So institutions try now to form people to educate people in order to be on both sides and in order to make these two words communicate again, which is very important because this was one of the reasons of the last crisis.
Thank you, Dr. Benori. Thank you, Mrs. Lobars. So I think the common takeaway that we can take away, we can sort of boil it down to is, although we expect a lot more complexity to come in the market, these complexities are going to lead to new specialized roles, new job creation, and that's not bad for students. So I think that's about it from me. I will invite my colleague, Mr. Amitava, to share a few more questions with you before we go for the presentations.
Thank you, Saurav. Thank you very much. So I have got a couple of questions to ask the panelists. So my first question is, how do you believe the investment banking industry will sustain, and what skill set do they require in their new recruits going forward?
Um, okay, do you want me to start? It's a
Yes.
complex question first, so I'll try to give a little bit of perspective that's personal. I do believe that more and more, as you explained, in fact, the link should be more there, and more finance would have to implement more. More elements that just profit in their way of thinking, being closer to the policymakers. We are trying to teach that on our side in the school. We have created. I mean, these are the area of research that we have. In fact, particularly in agri-finance, topics modeling for commodities. I mean, things like that, to make sure that we're not starving the rest of the world when we are making. We are investing in different commodities. I'm really generalizing. I'm really sorry for that. But also how to make sure that finance is safe from cyber risk, particularly. So we have a new chair on that aspect, cyber risk governance. So really the link between investment banking, the finance world in general, and the policymakers, I think would come more and more. But also, I think there is a lot of our students are looking for ways of doing finance because they love and enjoy the impact they can have and the work itself. But having making sure that it is helping out in the world. I mean, bringing some more. Adding more than just being senseless or whatever we could have called that in the past. Nobody wants to be in the shoes of Jérôme Kerviel, to name one person, I think, today. And that's a great thing. So
Thank
the
you.
schools are preparing the students for that, I think.
Yeah. So Dr. Benuri, would you like to add something to what Mohd has said?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I missed the large part of what Mod said because my connection went down. Yeah, well, I mean,
Okay.
I think I agree with Mod about the importance now of what we call responsible finance or sustainable finance in general. This is also something else which is really very, very important. But if we come back to the question about investment banking. Typically, investment banking is about being an intermediate between companies and the market. So this is typically the rule of investment bankers, and yeah. There's a lot of such relations between the market and companies, and whether it is for financing, whether it is for M&As, whether it is for IPOs or whatever it is, or for to issue new debt or new equity. Even though investment banks do not hire a lot, but I mean, there's a lot of very, very interesting opportunities in this sector. And again, I'm coming back to the small institutions that are really specialized. Typically, they're specialized in one sector or in one activity of investment banking. They are also very, very interesting to look at.
Okay, thank you very much. So, my last question to the panelists. If a candidate who is interested within think tanks or policy making organizations, how important is it to maintain a broad knowledge of the domain, or is it more important to obtain a specialization? What do you think about this?
Uh, well, if I can, this is related. Sorry, Modi, is it? This is a very good question. This is related to what I said. I mean, the idea of is it much more important to be highly specialized in something? The risk of being highly specialized in something is that you do not broaden your job market later. This means that you need to find a job related to your high specialization, which is very, very risky because the market evolves in a huge way. I mean, sometimes now there's one job which is really highly demanded, but the day where you will be, when you will graduate, maybe this job is not demanded anymore. So I think for me, a better strategy for a student is to have rather a broader knowledge about what is going on in finance,
Okay.
and then being more specialized once he enters the job market.
Modu, would you like to add something?
Yeah, I think it really depends on. I think you need to build that not only at the master level but before that. So if you were quite specialized in a bachelor, I would suggest to go for something more generalistic in potentially on the during your master, but definitely make a point of exploring them. If you do a master in management, for instance, and which is pre-experienced by Essence, just like the PGDM and IAMs are, then here you will have the possibility to broaden your perspective by having two internship. That's the case with Rennes School of Business, at least. You can even have much more than that, and that helps in building a profile. We in Rennes School of Business, because it's pre-experience, we do believe that this first year of master in management would give the broadened perspective, but we advise our students to have a specialized master in second year, because that's what will really make them get the first job easily, because they come with very specialized and in demand at that time skills, but they will still have one of the aspects of what the Grande École is bringing is the capacity to learn fast, the capacity to have a broadened perspective, the general understanding the culture of what a company means, what business means, so that you are able to move up the ladder wherever the market goes. I mean, when I graduated in 2004 from the Master in Management in Rennes, there are jobs. I was mainly in HR, in fact. Today, they call the HR the Global People Officers. That didn't exist at that time. We were still more or less the personal management, even not even HR manager eventually. And that was not so long ago. I'm not that old. That's going to be the case for a finance role. So my personal advice would be, a mix of general and finance. But if you already had that generalistic view, but it's finance that you want to go to, you have a little bit of exposure to finance, you can go directly to a specialized master, and that would work. But it doesn't have to be a master in credit analyst. It can be master in international finance. That's all okay. You're going to have a strong a view on the different aspect of finance with still the specialization that allows you to get into one or the other subject, I would say, so function.
So, for the viewers, I think they have got a clear picture that the French higher education system, especially the business schools, they actually do a mix and match. What they do basically, they offer a broad knowledge of the domain in their first year, and in the second year, they offer specialization in a particular subject, so that the students they do not miss out anything. Thank you very much. Thank you, Saurav. So we can go to the next part of the session.
Yes, thank you all very much for the enlightening answers. I would now invite Ms. Rakoton Relay to share her screen first for the presentation on courses at Montpellier Business School.
Thank you. Okay. I let them speak because they were both experts in finance. So I'm happy to introduce myself. I'm Judith. I'm in charge of recruiting students at Montpellier Business School, and I'm in charge of India as well. So for any questions, feel free to reach out. You have my WhatsApp number and my email, and we also have a booth that you can contact us at. So some reasons, very shortly, to choose France, and you already chose France because you're participating to the fair, so good idea. First, the quality of higher education. Also, France is a world-class economic power. You have a very pleasant, fulfilling living environment. French is an international language. Even if you're not going to be fluent in a few days, it's still nice for you to learn some French when you come. And also, France is one of the most appealing destinations for international students after the US, the UK, and Australia. Also, when you choose France, you choose a country that offers a lot of advantages to students, French or international. First, being Indian, you have the permit to stay up to 2 years after you graduate, which is an agreement between the French and Indian government. It's a 1-year renewable. Also, at the school of MBS, Montpellier Business School, you have up to €2,000 scholarship granted on tuition fees, depending on admission results and availability. For more questions, feel free to reach out at the end. Also in France, we have a nice healthcare system that gives you free social security wherever you study. You have the right to be cared of for free, which is quite a nice advantage, even if we don't want you to be sick. And also, we give financial housing allowance for students from abroad and from France, meaning that for a housing that could cost, for instance, €500, you can have up to €150 deducted on your rent, which is available for any type of institution you'll be studying at. It's a French right that you have as a student, French or international. So for those who don't know France and who don't know Montpellier, which is the name of the city we're at, we're located in the south of France, 3 hours from Paris and 3 hours from Barcelona. Usually to students, I would recommend them to choose a city that is not Paris, even if I love Paris. It's nice for tourism. I would suggest them to go to Rennes, actually, which is here today, but also Montpellier, a student city. The reason is that it's for you, even if you're coming from big city, from India, where you have a lot of population, it's nicer for you to enjoy the student life. You have like a nice atmosphere, human size, and you feel like home. When you are in France, you still have all the spots that you like. And well, Montpellier, we are in the south of France, so the weather is quite nice. I'm not gonna talk about the one in Rennes because that's not the point. Very sunny, but I love Brittany anyway. So for Montpellier and even Rennes and some student cities in France, you have up to 40% cheaper than Paris, which is also one of the reasons you should choose a city that is not the capital, even if you will have to go to the capital someday, especially if you want to work in finance. You see that most of the opportunities for work are usually in big capitals like Paris. Also, when you choose MBS or also Rennes as well, you choose to study in one of the best business schools in France. In France, we have approximately 200 business schools, and only 39 are what we call Grande École, which means big school. It's like the Ivy League, but for France. It's the top schools in France. You have the stay back option as mentioned, and those are quite prestigious. So you'll be studying topics that are quantitative and qualitative. We mentioned before the Master in Management Grande École. You'll see that this is a program that you can find in most of the Grande École in France. It's a 2-year program, usually first year general and second year specialization. And then you also have the Master of Science, and we have the director of the school here for the Master of Science, who is right here with me. Also, when you choose MBS, you choose a school with an international recognized academic excellence with a triple crown. So we have ACSB, IMB, and EQUIS that enables us to be highly ranked in France, but also worldwide. We are part of the 1% of 14,000 business schools in the world to have this triple accreditation. When you choose MBS as well, is to choose to build a career that looks like you. You have a preparation to the professional world with workshops, interview simulation. So you're not just attending a course, listening to the professor, you'll be actually an actor of what you're learning. Also, we have a strong relationship with companies, with conferences, internship, like Maud said. Usually you'll find in business schools in France that internships are actually mandatory. Why? Because we want you to graduate with at least 6 months or 4 to 6 month internship. It's important for you to discover the professional world before you graduate. And this is the added value that you will have. Also, you'll see that you will have relevant academic projects, especially here I'm going to talk about the Master of Science in Finance because we've been talking about finance. You will have a lot of group works like entrepreneurship, but also consulting projects, and one in finance that is called portfolio management, where you'll be like playing with money, if I can use this word. And then you'll be joining a network of 17,000 alumni around the world. So you have the possibility to study in English while living in the south of France. That's why you have so many French schools here for Indian market. So you have the bachelor degree that is a general program at the school. We don't have a specialized program because usually students that go out of high school, they say that may want something, but at the end they don't like it. So we have a 3-year program that is quite general, where you will have some finance and accounting, but introduction. Then you have the Master in Management. It's a 2-year program, and I'm an alumni of this program. I forgot to say it. It's in English or French. It's a 2-year program. First year general, and second year you can specialize. And the Master of Science, where you have several specializations. You're going to become an expert in one of the area: marketing, finance, business excellence, international business, and digital transformation. So here are the following Master of Science we have. So we have five programs, and the one in finance is normally, I think, if you're here, the one you're interested in. So I'll show you here. You have the general name of the degree, and inside you have specialization that will be for the second semester. So advanced finance, energy and environmental, responsible finance, and innovative finance. We mentioned before that it's important for you to still stay broad, if I can say that, but have still a little bit of specialization so that you don't close too many doors to the job market. So for the Master of Science at MBS, you have a program that is 18 months. So from September to June, you'll be in class at Montpellier in France, and then 4 to 6 months of professional experience mandatory. Even if you already have experience, we want you to have experience. Usually students will choose to stay either in France or in the Schengen space, because this is also an opportunity for you to discover another country of the Schengen space. Or you can also go somewhere else if you want to do an internship or professional experience related to your field of studies. Also, you will have, like I said, 3 big projects during this program. You will have entrepreneurial project, consulting project, and for the finance people, a portfolio management project. So this program is divided. First, you have a welcome to Montpellier with the hours of French to, well, understand a little bit of French, some workshops about understanding to how is it to be in France, like opening a bank account, opening your transportation card, and many paperwork that you need to know. Then you'll see that you have a first period where from October to December, where you study corporate finance and asset market. Moez said before that it's important for you to understand both, because sometimes students don't know how to relate both. So here you'll be studying both topics, where you have all the topics below, and I will not read them to you. Then you have the specialization, so either advanced finance, energy and environmental, responsible finance, and innovative. You will also have some cultural dynamics and French language courses, not mandatory, but very strongly recommended, because if you want to work in France, especially, for instance, in Paris, because this is where most of the jobs in finance are, I think, you will still need some French, even if you're aiming at having a English-speaking internship. It's still interesting for a recruiter to see that, well, you lived in France and you still learn some basics of French. So here you have also the master thesis, and usually it's related to your field of study with the director of your thesis. You have the tuition fees below, 13,900 euros for the entire program. We forgot to mention that internships in France are paid. This is legal, so usually students, especially in finance, they will get their money. But we are not just about money, but still it's an important fact to take into account. Here are some opportunities for students doing a master's in finance in general. So you have some of the possibilities of jobs. So we work, like Maud said, in consulting as well for a financial company. You can see that especially among young graduates who like to change companies. So they will be like working for a consulting company and going from company to company. They really like this type of job as well. I'm done on my side. I tried to respect the timing, and I hope I did. If you have any questions, and I went quite fast, you have my email here and my WhatsApp number, and we're also here today for the fair, so feel free to contact us on the booth. Thank you.
Thank you, Judith, for that very concise presentation. I will now invite Maud to share the last presentation of the day for Rennes School of Business. Also, Maud, I think your microphone is off.
All right, I hope you're able to see, but it's not yet.
Yes,
it's going to
perfect.
come. All right. So a little bit about Rennes School of Business first. We are a triple accredited business school. So like Montpellier, we are one of the only 100 schools in the world who have achieved this triple accreditation. If you compared our two schools to what's comparable in India, for instance, the only two schools in India who have that triple accreditation are I am Indore, that got it in January, and I am Kolkata. So that's the kind of school we are. But we also have, for instance, our master in international finance is ranked 29th best in the world according to the Financial Times ranking. And we have been in the Financial Times ranking since 2016. So it's been a repeated proof of worldwide recognition of the excellence of our teaching in finance in particular. So I'm trying to show it, but it seems to be blocked for some reason. All right. So a little bit more about what is specific to Rennes. Rennes is a school, okay, so by companies of the region. So we are very close to the corporate world. And the objective at first was to create international talent locally. So from day one, we started recruiting professors from abroad. So today, 95% of our professors are not French, and they come from 40 different nationalities. So not only they would teach you in English and in English only, that's a guarantee. They would also provide you with a global perspective on things, not European only. So very quickly about our programs in finance. So we have the MSc in International Finance, so the one that is Financial Times ranked. You do, it's very practical, so you do quite a lot of the teaching in a Bloomberg trading facility that we have. You have the possibility to pass the certificate Bloomberg. You can also be prepared for CFA. We only promise the Bloomberg Certificate access. It's a 15-month program that you can access with 15 years of education or 16 years, it doesn't matter. 15 years, as long as you have 180 ECTS, you are entitled to go directly for this 15-month program, which gives access to the 1+1 year post-study stay visa through with the support of the school. Within the 15 months, you will have 8 months in class. You have the content in there. Most of the modules are compulsory. Only we have elective modules on Islamic finance or international and European business law in there. All the rest is mandatory, as I said. You will have to do 6 months internship mandatory for this program and a graduating project. So that's what I wanted to tell you about that. If you check the Financial Times ranking, you will know the mean salary is 66,000 USD for our alumni that graduated 3 years ago. So when you're at 26-year-old, this is what at least you will be having a chance to earn from that program. And people are working in investment banking, credit analysis, corporate finance. I mean, a bit of everything for KPMG and ENI, Deloitte, Moody's, LVMH. I mean, both the finance or the big four, the banks you will find. Another programs that you could consider, so what I didn't say is that the Master in International Finance requires you to have an academic background in finance, commerce, or management or business. If you're an engineer but still wants to study finance, we would propose you the Financial Data Intelligence program because it has a few courses that introduce finance, and then you can go for advanced finance programs. So there are a lot of similarities between the two, but there is a little bit more on the fintech in this program as well, especially in second semester. So the same 15 months program, 4 to 6 months internship. Both programs have a 2 weeks winter session, sorry, in one of our partner university in Europe. So it's something you can take advantage of as well. Final, Master in International Accounting, Management, Control and Auditing. So the program manager is a professor that comes from India. She has a PhD from IIM Bangalore. So as I said, we recruit from all around the world, and when we recruit them, we recruit the best. She could tell you a bit more about the program. It's also 15 months, 4 to 6 months internship. It's having a very strong partnership with PricewaterhouseCoopers Belgium. So we have regularly those people coming, and alumni MSCs are working as financial auditors, tax manager, M&A managers, controllers. I mean, if you're more interested in this kind of career, this is the right program, not a finance one in this case. That's about it. You could do all those MSCs as the specialization in master in management. So in second year, if you prefer to have the master in management, but you will get a double degree. All those programs, they cost 18,200 euros. I don't know if it's mentioned there. And the cost of living in our city is among the lowest in France. We are only 1.5 hours away from Paris Center, but it costs half less to live there. On average, 600 euros per month. So that's about 7 lakh a year, so it's very affordable. But we also have many scholarships, so here's where you can apply, and I would be happy to answer any of your questions during the fair later on the booth. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maud. That was a very concise, very good presentation. And unfortunately, we are short for time right now. We were given until 5:45. We just run off. So I'll just use the last minute to thank all our participants for being here. I'm sure it was a very wonderful session for our students. And I'm so sorry we won't be able to take up any more questions on the chat, but please feel free to contact the universities directly through our platform. Thank you all. It's been a wonderful session. And from all of us at Campus France and the French Institute in India, have a pleasant evening and a productive Choose Fund store. Our next webinar starts at 6 p.m. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.